Alright, so we talked in the previous lecture about some data types for our variables. Now let's go into more deeper types and see how we can use them. So let's start with the string. Now a string, as we said in the previous lecture, it is a sequence of character. So if you start defining a string, so it says string my name, and you just type in your sequence of character, notice that it starts with a quote and it ends with a quote. You have the string body over here, and notice that like the string itself, if you say like my name over like this and add an index to it, okay, you will see it's like an array of what, of characters, as we said in the previous lesson. Okay, so your string variable will hold string data for you, okay, and you can update it and it change it as you like. Now if we look at the double data type, the double data type, it's like the other numerical data type. It's store values of numbers, and these values of numbers really vary. Now if we look over here, say double my numbers, okay, notice that you can add freely any number you like. You can also add like a decimal point over here. It's no an issue for you, but remember that the double has not, like, it has a certain storage space. So if you see the max value for this, it's like a really long number, okay, but it's lower, like the storage size or how many number it can load, it's lower than the decimal that we shown in the previous lecture. Just remember that. And you like notice over here you do not need to add an m as the decimal we done in the previous lecture. And notice also it's like show you an error over here. Now let's look at the long data type. Now the long itself, it just stores numbers without any floating point, okay. But why would I use a long data type, not an integer data type? If we dig deeper, so this is the end. The end, it's just a synonymous or a shortcut for the integer 32, and the long, the same thing. It's a shortcut, but it's shortcut for what? For the 64-bit integer, okay. So let's write long. Sorry, this is the long, and it's just like, even if you see the tooltip over here, it just says that this is an int64 data type. But what's make it unique, it's the max value it can store. Notice how long this number, okay. We saw in the previous lecture the integer is much lower than this. So if you want to store a really long, let's say real number that does not end with a floating point, okay, you can use the long if you run out of space for the with the integer. So it's just like an integer, so I say my long integer, and I can add the values that I need. Now before we go, there are other data types I encourage you to see and look. There is the unsigned int, okay. But like, what's the difference of the unsigned int? Now if we see its max value over here, notice that this is double the number of the integer, okay. But what makes it unique is if we add like maybe a value here. So if I can declare it, notice there is no difference. But as soon as you add a number less than 0, notice you will get an error. Why? Because this is the unsigned integer. If the number is less than 0, it cannot distort it, just only store positive numbers, 0 and above. So just keep this in mind. There are other some unsigned types you can take a look at. And like there is the byte type to store byte arrays and so on. But I need you like to go through the quiz that will be presented to you, answer all the question, try some of the variables over here, add them, change its value, see how it's different and how you can work with all these data type inside C#.